Sweet success, Orange fans. The opening of Big East play, and we start with a victory against a team that had given us fits. Ever since South Florida joined the Big East, Orange fans, it's always been one frustrating meeting after another against those Bulls. Those Bulls seem to always have our number. The average margin of victory was a little over 24 points, if you count averages. So opening Big East play this year, South Florida seemed like a very intimidating opponent, but not for this Orange team. Doug Marrone is continuing to show that he's got the Orange headed in the right direction. And it definitely showed on Saturday down in balmy Tampa, Florida. Heck, he even saw some of the South Florida girls bands with midriff-bearing tops on. That's how nice the weather is. Kinda makes you long for summer again. But of course, it's Central New York. You get what you get. But you know, I've lived here all my life, and I love the seasons, especially fall. And this was a definite wake-up call for the Big East, seeing how the Orange manhandled the Bulls. Although early on it looked like another Bulls runaway was going to happen, but then the defense clamped down. I wonder if Scott Schaefer decided to take some cues from the defensive coordinator of Arizona in the 90s. Arizona had that great Desert Swarm defense that included Teddy Bruschi. And now, he's now the analyst for ESPN, a good analyst. But you know, you wonder, did Schaefer bring him in? Because it didn't look like the Desert Swarm, it looked like the Central New York Swarm. Who let the bees out here in Central New York? It's fall, but the bees gathered around the Orange defense, and they swarmed to B.J. Daniels. I wondered what that buzzing sound was when they were on defense. Zzz, ow! Zzz, ow! They stung you several times, Daniels. Definitely stung you up in the second half. Of course, you know who else got stung? Elvis Presley. Oh my, I got stung. And you wonder if Mikhail Marinovich and all the other Orange defensive players were on the sideline going, yeah, yeah. Oh, enough about the king of rock and roll, shall we? But it was one hell of a struggle. Especially, you kind of like seeing games like that. I mean, points were definitely hard to come by in this game. Ross Krautman kicked the 2 field goals for the Orange, giving us a 6-3 lead after South Florida opened the scoring. But then came what I wondered was, are we going to start seeing this deja vu of South Florida all over again? Because on the ensuing kickoff after Krautman gave us the 6-3 lead, South Florida returns it all the way back for a touchdown. And I'm thinking like Yogi Berra, it's deja vu all over again. But on came that dreaded thing that happens to kicking teams when they kick the point after try or the field goal. The infamous double thud. And that's what happened to South Florida. They kicked it, but Syracuse blocks it. But why did they have to waste time kicking the ball forward? They could have just scooped it up, given it to Mike Holmes. He could have returned it for 2 points. That's what happens when you block a PAT in college. I wonder why don't they have that rule in the NFL? The PAT, if it's blocked, returned for 2 points in the pros. There ought to be some a little resounding or litigation started by fans for that. Instead of 9-6, it would have been 9-8. Heck of an offensive baseball game, don't you think? But then Syracuse showed its true colors in the fourth quarter. Antoine Bailey and DeLone Carter, each again having great games running the ball for the Orange. And to top it all off, the guy who was expected to be the starter for Syracuse at wide receiver this year, finally getting his first catch of the year, and it's a touchdown to cap a beautiful 98-yard drive, which put us ahead for good. Marcus Furniture Sales, what a way to get your first catch of the year. Now let's hope your problems can be in the past. You were expected to be the starter. Let's see if you got it. And you know, it led to a nice 13-9 win, especially after we held South Florida when they got towards midfield. Hell, I hoped it would have been 20-9. Philip Thomas nearly having a pick six on that final drive. Of course, you gotta wonder if looking at the screen and seeing Skip Holtz's wife there kind of made an impression. As you know, when I looked, I went, ooh, lunch. But you know, I wouldn't want to be in my shoes right now, and I don't want to be Skip Holtz. He sees me saying that, he'll sick his father on me. Good old Lou Holtz. Because you know, Lou would put pseudo strangleholds on people, especially if people were screwing around with his boys. And I'm not going to screw around with boys. And last but not least, what do you Orange fans think of that Orange fan who was tasered down there after the game? They say he was belligerent in that, but he wasn't drunk. I guess fans thought he was too loud cheering for the Orange. Isn't that what football's all about? Cheering for your team? Tampa Bay police woman, I should say. It was a police woman. Tasers him 4 times in the gut. Boy, that's a real gut check if I think about it. Why don't I drag out NWA? Because we're coming straight out of Syracuse. Crazy mother named Ken Haas. Oh, my rap career went up in smoke with that. But whatever, it was a hell of a resounding victory. Resounding that shows that Syracuse is back. And Pitt, after losing to Notre Dame in South Bend, comes into the Dome to take on the Orange. The Panthers and the Orange have always had a great rivalry. But you know, it's time to see if Dave Wannestat wants to get out of Pittsburgh. This Pittsburgh team is definitely struggling. But you know, sometimes Pittsburgh can save their best games for Syracuse or with their back against the wall. But let's hope we can go to 5-1. Then we'll be well on our way to a place we haven't been in years, the Bowls. I'm Ken Haas. That's my story. And keep it going, Orange. 4-1 and sitting pretty.